I'm Coach Schumann. I couldn't believe I'm being faced by. I got to back myself up here. Coach Schumann here, Prospect Podcast. I'm like, good God, I don't want to scare everybody. We're here at the Prospect Podcast. I have, as always, to my left, Coach D. And we have our fantastic guest today, Coach Michael Vannucci of the Long Island Wide Receiver Academy. So we're really excited to talk to him. And a little backdrop, me and Derek, like we combed the internet, not just because we coach kids, but just because we're junkies of football, comb the internet and like there's so many new kind of trends and stuff that we see within wide receiver training. And some of it we have major questions about, and so we have a fantastic guest who really trains a lot of great athletes. When I watch his social media, I really like a lot of the stuff he's doing. And he's quick as hell, by the way, also. And
it always helps those guys. Those guys that can kind of demonstrate still, those guys are long gone. But even that his demonstration process is, you know what I mean? Like sometimes these guys got to just see it to do it. You can get it done.
No doubt. So, but yeah, really great to talk to him. And it's a topic I think that a lot, because obviously the passing game has become such a big thing at all levels. And so you got so many kids wanting to play wide receiver, and probably one of the easiest things to do is grab some guy and start filming and teaching route, and whether you know it or don't. And it's one of the easiest things to do, right? Like, there are good and bad quarterback coaches, but like if you really don't know anything about quarterback play at all, you can't just go out there and start, trying to instruct the kid on throwing, right? So, but wide receiver, like a guy who played a little bit of wide receiver in his backyard, and all of a sudden he's got like a whole business on it, and that's why we have Michael on with us today, because he really, really teaches the wide receiver position at incredibly high level. He's as modern as they come, but doing things from, what I've seen, really from a body type standpoint and technique standpoint, really the way that kind of I think about it, and more the way that I think about wide receiver play. But he's going to clear a lot of stuff up for us today too. So without further ado, let's get Coach Vannucci on here. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey guys, how you doing? I'm excited to be here. Like I was saying before, like I love talking about wide out play and football in general. I'll never say no to a conversation about either of the two. Just a little bit about myself. I grew up in Long Island, New York. I went to Plain Edge High School and played for a legendary coach there, Coach Rob Shaver. Played small Division III ball and was fortunate enough to go play professionally in Europe for 3 years, which was probably one of the best experiences in my life, which I'm sure we can get into later in the podcast. And then I came home and was getting my phys ed degree, got my phys ed degree because I originally had my exercise science degree. And while I was doing so, I started training receivers, commuting to New Jersey to get my degree, coming home, training receivers at night, and fell in love with it and was doing it really for not much money. So over the course of time, it kind of just organically built to what it is today. And during that time, I was also coaching high school football. I think I've had 9 years of high school football. I coached for Coach Shaver at Plain Edge, and then also coached with another who I think is a legendary coach, one of the best in the state probably, Coach Rob Blount at Oceanside High School.
Awesome. When you started, so you came out and played college, you went and played in Europe, and then you started working with receivers. Like, kind of what was the thought process of kind of how you started to figure out how you were going to develop the play that you wanted to start to teach wide receivers? How did you kind of start to construct that?
Yeah. So first thing is, so Drew Lieberman Sideline Hustle was like the first of the first on social media. Yep. So I think that's kind of where everybody got their start of at least their general knowledge, right? And then my second year in Italy, we brought over a really brilliant football mind. He spent time in the CFL. He spent time in the NFL. His name is Brett Morgan. He kind of like blew my brain up. A real quick funny story. He says, meet me down at the restaurant. This was like the year before when he was like seeing if he wanted to take the job. So my wife and I went. I was like, babe, I'm going to talk to Coach Brett for a couple of minutes, and then we'll get some dinner. Well, the talk with Coach Brett took about 3 hours, and we were demonstrating in the restaurant. And I was like, okay, I like this guy. But he kind of broadened my horizon to the wideout position, because the reality of it is, like, position coaching's hit or miss at every level. And at the college and pro levels, like, it's hard. The time that they're allotted, it's hard to develop. It's hard to develop. And now more than ever, it's like, oh, you can't do it. We're getting somebody who can, because a lot of it is scheme based. They have restrictions on the hours with the kids, so it's really hard to develop. So I didn't really get much development in college. I kind of got better as a receiver after college as my knowledge grew, and then I got to spend some time with Coach Brett. So that was kind of what kind of sparked my interest and what made me a better coach. And then secondly, when you're an import in Europe, you really have a ton of time. We lifted in the morning 5 days a week. We practiced 2 nights a week. I stumbled upon NFL Game Pass, and I legitimately was watching all 22, about 6 to 8 games a day. Mostly mostly Julio. I watched a ton of Julio Jones, but I was watching everybody about 6 to 8 games a day. I was creating route cut-ups, and that kind of built our huddle library. We've got like 2,000 routes tagged, because I was just watching nonstop. Like, I was legitimately watching 4 or 5 hours a day of wideout play, and I kind of just found commonalities between the best guys, and was like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. And then I was able to have a group of kids at home that I was really just like trial running it with, and that's kind of how it all started.
I think that first of all, Drew does a great job. Obviously, still has a few pro clients. I think he originally started with
Sanu. He's killing it right now. He's the best.
And he started with Sanu, so and then obviously Sanu went on to play in the NFL, and then obviously picked up guys there, from that point forward, and he's focused on the highest level with all that. And I think what's really interesting is, you talked about how you watched all the film on wide receiver play, and you talked to a guy who, who you sat down with that really like helped, open your eyes to some of the things of wide receiver play. I think those are really great ways to begin the game. Obviously, you coached as well in high school, so you could see what kind of goes on from a development standpoint or lack thereof, right? And so you start to kind of build a background. And what's interesting is, like, for me, and I'm sure Derek will talk about this too, is that over the years, like, I coached high school football for 20 years. And when I played in college at UConn, what wide receivers did back then, what they do, what they did in the 2000s, what they did in the 2010s, and what they do now, all is slightly like evolved in different ways. Obviously, part of it is because as a receiver, as the defenses evolve, the style of play from the DBs evolve, then you have to evolve as a receiver, right? And your style of play. So it's really interesting to see how all this happens. But of course, the explosion of social media created an avenue where now you're a lot of people where you were able to like sit there and watch all the NFL films. People are just grabbing stuff from everywhere, and some of it might be phenomenal, some of it might be terrible, right? And everything in between. So it's important to really like learn and obviously test it out with the athletes in a safer environment when you're working with them, and start to see. But it's really interesting. Like, one of the things that, like, I posted it I think last week. It's one of my favorite things on wide receiver. It's on receiver play, and I had AI do a whole analysis video on it because I'm very good technology wise. So, it kicked out all this great stuff. But it was Alabama's wide receiver coach Holloman. He's there about, I think.
It's awesome. He's one of the best.
Yes. So, and that's why we'll leave the discussion, because I watch your stuff, and a lot of your stuff there's similarities to what he talks about. Not everything's exact, but similarities, right? And I love the way that he teaches it. You know what I mean? I love the way he teaches it. Like, obviously, how much space are they playing afar from you? That dictates certain things. Like, what's your starting angle, what's their starting angle, you got to get to a point, you talk about too, mowing the grass, where you start to close the distance, and when do you got to just take off, when all those kind of things. But those are the things that create, for a lot of these receivers who are learning to train, for you as a coach, you start to put together, okay, this is how I think about it. But a lot of kids go start doing it like, and then they get a trainer who tells them to do this and this. So talk about how you started to then develop like certain like themes within your training that you think are important, like base wise, for most receivers to have, right? No matter whether they're tall, big, or in between.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing.
Yeah. So they've got to be able to, as far as movement, general movement of wide out play. So we're catching the ball out right now. They got to be able to decelerate at full speed. So can I drop my hips and stop suddenly at full speed? Okay. They've got to be able to accelerate through what we call a pressure step or speed cut, which is that one step cut. You're thinking slant, you're thinking glance or strike, you're thinking any outbreaker, or like rolling through a deeper inbreaker. And then they've got to move their cover defender. So whether that's at the line of scrimmage, whether that's at the top when somebody's playing catch at my depth, whether that's at the top when they're on my low hip and they have route leverage. So those are three of the movements that they've got to check. A lot of times, especially with newer guys, we don't teach routes. We teach those movements, because if we can get somebody to run full speed and stop and drop their hips efficiently, they can run a curl, they can run a comeback, they can run a square dig, they can run a hinge. If I can get somebody to run through a pressure step and accelerate at whatever angle they start at, now eventually we'll discuss, scheme specifics, and I personally like things flat, but it's neither here nor there. Then they can run a slant, they can run a glance, they can run a corner versus access. Same thing with rolling into ins and outs. If I can transfer my weight from one hip to the other and get a little bit of hip displacement, I can rocker step. I can double jab at the line of scrimmage. I can hip shift at the top of a outbreak when somebody's on my low hip on the inside, right? Like, so there's the general movements that have to be taught before we even start talking about the routes. And we're making sure that we're providing the information to the receiver that, hey, you're doing this and it's going to carry over to X, Y, and Z. It's not just a drill we're doing. I'll tell them, you're running the route without a break point. You're running a route without an exit sometimes. And then as far as catching goes, like for me, when I first started, I left it up to the kids to kind of, hey, you guys could, like, you're not paying me to come here to throw you balls for 30 minutes. Like, you guys can go catch on your own. That has completely flipped. Like we do 20 minutes of catching to start every single session.
Right.
The variations will change. But every single session we're catching a football in some way. We're working on something. It might be a yak situation. It might be catching hand over, like I'm running an in or out break. It might be hand fighting in stem to a track. But we are catching. We have standards. The kids could recite the standards if you ask them to, of what we look for in a standard catch. And then when we're on the move and we're running routes, it's like we don't think about that stuff. But when we're in that controlled environment, we are hyper focused on how we want to catch the ball.
Why originally, Mike, was catching not kind of part of it?
I just assumed kids would go get better at catching on their own
it's really funny. It's funny you say that, right? Because I equivalent it to, or it's kind of, I had the same type of situation when it came to a high school basketball coach, and he talked about like getting shots up, and he was like, look, like, you guys got to get your shots up on your own. I need to work on this stuff during practice time because I only have so much time. Right. So I kind of like, as soon as you said that, I said, all right, and it was the same thing. His assumption was, oh, these guys will go find time to get shots up or do whatever. And it's like, I don't really, based off of wins and losses, they sure as shit, they didn't go get their shots up. You know what I'm saying? So like, I get that too. Whereas football's a little different though, because in order to get catches, like for the most part, you need someone throwing, right? And
yeah,
how much does that play into it? Like how much does that play into it when it comes to like we're working catches and doing all that? Now look, they can catch, like I even do it with my guys in high school now, right? Like catching balls from me isn't the same as catching balls from the actual quarterbacks that they're doing. So can you talk, how does that work out when it comes to some of your training stuff?
Yeah, well,
first with, like, thing quarterbacks.
We are very fortunate. Like we have 15 college sessions this winter from the second week of December to the third week of January. Maybe we had the third week of December to the third week of January.
Right, when those guys are home from school, stuff like that.
Yeah, we didn't have less than 4 college quarterbacks at any of the sessions.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So like we are very fortunate. Now it didn't always work out that way, but contrarily, I'll say kids can't throw anymore. The receivers can't throw to each other anymore. When we first started this, we didn't have quarterbacks.
Wait, you mean an athlete? You mean an athlete high school kid?
The high school kids were throwing the routes to each other. Now they cannot throw to each other. It's unbelievable. Really? So yes, it's like not all of them, but like the athletic endeavor of throwing a football is not really common. At an relatively, we're talking like head on 7 yards away. Looks like they're taking their cleat off and throwing it. Like, so we at the high school stuff, we typically will throw to like me and I usually have 1 or 2 assistant coaches at the sessions. We will throw to them.
It's so funny.
But when we get outside, so like the high school guys indoors, we don't have as much space. We don't run a ton of full route work, which is fine for where they are in the off season. They're right out of the season. They're usually playing winter sports. We don't need to be running 15-yard comebacks. We're working very foundational stuff. We're getting tons of touches. When we go outside with the high school guys, we tend to get quarterbacks pretty easily, and then same thing with the college. So we really don't have a big problem with it in our area of the field. As far as catching on their own, you typically would need a quarterback, but you could also, like, we give guys like different drills, certain tennis ball drills off the wall to each other, soccer ball off a wall to themselves, and things like that. So
I was just curious as to how much, like, you personally, when it came to like that aspect of it, like it depended on it, right? Because it's the first thing, I can't get, I need someone to throw. I said, but I don't really care who's throwing to you. Like, you know what I'm saying? I said, because anything is better than nothing. But like, 100%. Yes, would I like a higher level guy that could actually throw the ball? But you're 100% right, Dave. It's the funniest thing, dude. Like, to watch these other wideouts try and throw, like play catch with each other. It's hilarious.
It wasn't always that way. Like it wasn't
no, because everybody was an athlete. Everybody used to be a quarterback.
Yep.
You know
what I mean? Like we just grew up playing tackle football at the park, and like everybody wanted to play quarterback a little bit, so everybody threw. Like it was just the way it was. I don't know. It's fascinating to me. It's really fascinating to me.
Yeah. It is. It is the two things. So when they decide they want to play receiver, they probably never throw a ball again.
Right.
And then the other thing is that because they don't go out and play as much, they don't go to the park and throw back and forth with each other. So they're basically playing video games, so they're not even developing that skills. And if they didn't play like basketball or something where you obviously have to catch and deliver the ball, you're not working like a lot. You're right though. It is I just tell, do not throw the ball in if you're a receiver, please.
No, run it back, please, God.
I'm not chasing this all over the place.
Yeah, it's gonna land behind the quarterback, and he's gonna.
You're gonna take so much more time because now we're waiting for this. Like it's just, I'm not even concerned with that. I'm just more of a timing thing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no doubt.
We only got this much time to do this. Just run the ball back in, buddy, please.
No doubt.
So and that's really I think the way explained the initial things that you start to teach with them obviously are great, like the fundamental skills of accelerating, decelerating, being able to change direction efficiently and knowing the different angles that required for what ends up translating into the different routes is critical for the receivers in kind of the early phases. When the athletes start to, like, you have the college group, right? And they obviously they're going to be more advanced than your younger groups, right? And they start to do things. One of the things that I always see in that, so like when when you have them to go to two-way go and you put both feet in the ground, right? And their feet are outside.
Split release. I think you're referring to the split. Yep. Yes, sir.
Split foot release, split foot release. And their feet are outside their hips, right?
Yes, sir.
And one of the things I think you teach it real well, I mean, I got it from Holloman, like, right. He wants them, outside hips, but he doesn't want them like where you're in a displacement angle for your hips, right? Where it becomes dangerous. One of the things that I notice that I see when I see a lot of wide receivers coaches, and I'm curious about it because I see it so much that I'm like, am I wrong or something? I see so many times where I see people are getting their knees and their hips displaced, meaning way outside of their frame, not slightly outside of the frame, or maybe a little more than slightly because of the movement requires it, but actually teaching over hip displacement and knee displacement. And it's one of the things that I came, first I always was like, this is just crazy ridiculous. But then I'm like, is this something that's actually being taught? Is this something that's important to be taught? But one of my thought process always is from a movement standpoint, it looks to me that we start to train our athletes to put themselves in angles that when they get out in the field and it's unpredictable, that they get even more displaced and could cause injury, which I've noticed that when I watch a lot of the wide receivers in the NFL, every time I see them most of the time when they get an injury, it's usually when they're overly displaced, an ACL, like their leg is way outside their frame. Other than obviously a force-based injury, right?
Yeah.
But when it's not a force-based. So talk about that, because there's a lot of confusion about what is okay, what is not. Does it start to change how your body moves over time? If you could talk about that, and you know what I'm talking about, right? Like,
yeah, 100%. So, I know to an extent. I think the answer I'll give will cover all bases. Where even
great.
if I'm off a little bit in the understanding, I think it'll shed some light. So the first thing is, in order to push laterally or move laterally, the foot has to be slightly outside of the hip. Okay, if the foot is directly underneath the hip, it's optimal to go up, and it's optimal to like broad jump. Okay, so if I want to push laterally, I'm releasing from the line of scrimmage. I'm attacking in some type of angle. We like to tell guys attack in V's, getting width and depth simultaneously. The foot needs to be slightly outside of the hip. But there is a point of diminishing returns, right? There's bandwidth for every player. I don't have protractors out, and we're not measuring these things. It's just kind of something, you use with your coach's eye and hope that you've had the time and resources to develop that coach's eye. As far as the displacement goes, if I'm trying to move a human being, I have to move. So if I'm trying to displace them, they have to be displaced. I mean, I have to be displaced rather, right? If I'm staying in my bubble, we like to say, if I'm staying in my Madden circle, he never has to leave. Okay. The issue that people I think have with that is, in order for me to displace somebody, if I'm working like a jab or a hip shift or something to my left to move them to their right, that's coming from my opposite foot. So if I want to move to my left, I'm pushing my body there with my right. That way, when I get my body to the left, my foot, hip, and shoulder are all going there together.
Got it.
That way I'm loaded through the hip. It's not really through my knee. It's a more powerful position. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense, right? And the reason why I say it is because some of the stuff where people have the knee, the ankles way outside, knees way inside, if you know what I'm saying, and they're changing direction where it seems like that's the weakest point, that if you made contact with somebody at that point, it would be
if you're getting contacted
disaster.
If you're getting contacted there, you're in a little bit of trouble. It's less dangerous when you're at the line, where it's less like somebody's going to roll up on you. I think as long as it's more of like it's coming from like hip internal rotation than just like straight up, just like knee valgus collapsing. I think those are two totally different movements.
And how about,
does that make sense?
Yeah,
well, that's what's funny. That's where your exercise science background comes in, Mike. You know what I'm saying? Like, now you can actually look and explain to wideouts, like, we are getting down to the nitty gritty here of actually these like physiological structure of like your knee, your ankles, your hips, and how all of this aligns to that. You need to do this in order to make this happen at this rate, right? You know what I'm saying? And keep you safe.
Yeah, and I think the art of coaching it is like the reality of it is like 99.9 of the wideouts don't really care if
they don't give a shit.
They don't give a shit if I'm saying knee. They don't want to hear knee valgus and hip internal rotation. It's how when we're able to identify it, how can I present to them that we need to do this versus that?
100%.
Or can I identify it and relay that message in a digestible fashion? Right?
It's a great way to put it. Like they need to understand this shit. Otherwise, it's squirrels. You know what I'm saying?
I catch myself doing it. I catch myself using some anatomical stuff.
We're all nerds, bro.
I try not to because like it's not about what I know. They don't give a shit if I'm saying knee valgus or internal rotation or it's just like to me, it's like when people are consistently doing that, almost intentionally, it's like, all right, you're trying to show everybody what you know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Take off your white coat.
I'm trying to not
take off your white coat. Right.
Right.
So,
and that would be much more of a one-on-one situation too, right? Like if you have a guy one-on-one.
I think the way we
teach the guy more.
But I think the higher level, Dave, you know what I'm saying? Like his college group, like they want to know these intricacies. And I love the point you brought up first, like about the amount of time that actual coaches have to develop these types of skills, release like all of this, like individual receiver work. Like what do you get in an individual period? 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Like it is nothing in the grand scheme of how to actually be at the level that you want to be. You know what I'm saying? I think that's why so many high school guys get all caught up in this because there's just so much to work on. And at the same time, you're trying to teach install and scheme and bigger picture. Like I can only work releases at a certain time. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to have a very structured camp install of like, all right, we're working this today against this. This is what my individual needs to marry it up with. Like, I just don't have that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's a very shallow, here's what it is. Like, that's where I would rely on you. One, because I'm a little different, because most coaches like would be like, well, you go to a trainer and no, dude, you go do the hard work. Like, I got to teach all this other shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's important.
If you just put it in any other discipline, right? So let's take the skill of like releasing or the skill of dropping your hips. You get 20-minute indie 3 days a week, we'll say, which is really gracious. Oh. Yeah. So like, let's just go there. Let's say you're doing half of that time. Let's say you're doing 30 minutes of hip drop work a week as a position coach, which you're not in the high school setting. Okay. Well, if you played the piano 3 times a day for 10 minutes a day, a week, you're playing 3 days a week for 10 minutes a day. It's gonna take you 2 months to play Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Yeah,
it's just not enough time. It's and what people don't understand, and that's one part of receiver play, right? It's infinite parts of receiver play. So that's where like it's almost unfair on the position coaches to expect them. Some of them are great developers. It's just they're not allotted the time necessary, you know? Like we are spoiled in the private setting. Like I hope people in the private sector realize that they do not compare and compare themselves to the position coaches and think they're better or they're worse, or because we're two totally different jobs.
Correct.
Like we have 90 minutes of indie. I can guarantee you if we gave the position coaches at certain levels, not all of them, some of them are truly extensions of coordinators and stuff like that, which is fine. Like they would be able to develop players just the same way, if not better than some of us in the private sector.
There's no doubt about it. And your point about the development part is a big difference. So it's just like, your basketball analogy, Derek, is really good, right? In a basketball practice, I'm sure the coach would love to have them just shoot for 2 hours, right?
Hell yeah.
Get their 500 shots they need to get, right?
Get him. Yeah.
But you can't do that because he's got to make sure they know how to they're prepared for a game for defense. They're prepared with the 1 or 2 offensive plays they're going to run, right?
Right.
The important skill aspects get taken care of so those don't get minimized. They don't lose some of those things. And, and they got to go and mix in some shooting and all those kind of things throughout practice. Whereas when you're focused on one thing, it's doing this is like going and taking 500 shots from all your different areas, right? And so that allows you to get to a different level. So at wide receiver position, all football positions, but wide receiver, because there's a lot of variables, it allows for the opportunity to really do a lot of different things. Whereas, like I say, the closer you get towards the line, the less variables there are. The wider away you get, the more variables there are, right? It's just space, right?
Yeah.
So the more space there is, there's more variables, right? So there becomes more avenues of moves and things that you've got to learn because there's more variables, there's more space, there's short space, there's wide spaces. That's just how it is. It's the same thing when you're on defense. It's the interior nose guard has to have a smaller set, really good at. As it moves wider and back, you're going to have to expand your skill sets and in order to be able to handle the position needs, right? So that's what makes it, really gives the opportunity for good trainers to really develop those things, because it's a lot harder to do all that stuff and really develop it. And I think football has really evolved since I started coaching, where there wasn't really, there definitely wasn't wide receiver development, back when I first started. But even in every position, right? Like I always say, like, it drives me nuts that there isn't like an O-line that you're hard pressed, probably where you were too. Why isn't there an offensive line coach that is just saying, you know what, I'm going to build a business on developing offensive linemen, right? There might be one in your whole state, you know what I'm saying, or one in all of Long Island, right? Where eventually it'll evolve to each one of those things eventually. But wide receiver, a big money making position, so it's evolved quicker in that area, just like quarterback has, right? So where you have a lot more trainers willing to take a business on, because you have more people that are going to be willing to actually pay and get developed there, right? And obviously what's always hard is linemen, that most people go and play O-line reluctantly, not because you know what I mean? Even if they belong there, they play reluctantly.
But man isn't important. Oh, man isn't important.
That's exactly right.
There's not enough good linemen in the NFL, so there damn sure isn't enough good linemen at the college and high school levels. It's such an important position that, if you can really become a good lineman, you are so valuable. Like,
absolutely,
so valuable.
No doubt.
They're actually the most valuable. It's just that it doesn't get the most press. And like we were talking about, in the transfer portal in college, that to me, the transfer portal, the first thing I am addressing right after I address what quarter guy is going to take the snaps for us, is who are my linemen that I got to replace? Because if I don't have
that's
them,
the most important, man.
None of the rest of it matters, right?
What dictates everything you can do offensively and defensively, right?
It's like that release you're working on ain't gonna work so good if that guy's already on your quarterback. After you
dictates
do that,
every offensive call you make. It dictates what you can play.
And there's the most of those guys on the field at one time. So your opportunity to just play in general goes up.
Yeah, and especially now, how often
you're a high price commodity, man.
How often
you might be a Division III lineman, right? That can now go get an NIL or play at a different level because you're just a pretty good. You're an okay player. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you ain't got to be an all-world guy. Come be my third string guard. Like, you're going to see some time because somebody's rolling an ankle. Like,
yeah, exactly right.
So when you go and we talked about the releases, and when you go and start to develop guys from a route standpoint and their skill standpoint, and then when they're actually into movement part, what part of like your training do you feel like when you start to kind of, there's at the line, which is important part, especially obviously if they're playing man, what their release is going to be. But then there's, tracking to like where they end up moving to, right? Like what their routes end up being. What part of that becomes important in your training, and how important is that part, top of the route stuff and making sure all those kind of things get developed?
It's all very important. and we work all of it. So like top of the route. So we pretty much have theme days.
Okay.
That's
like
I like that. That's awesome.
Our summer program is like, it's built like a legitimate curriculum. So I'll use that because it's easier, because we have the extra days. But like we have hard break days, which is our hip drop, our curl comeback. We have pressure step, speed cut days, where it's our slant, our outbreakers, our inbreakers, and we have shift days where we'll integrate one of those other two into the shift days.
Right.
So we kind of will make sure we're hitting everything. So for example, our summer looks like this. Our summer program is, well, it starts out Mondays are like yak catching, a little bit of release work, because after the guys are home for a period of time, we start doing college one-on-ones every Sunday. So we get a group of DBs that we've been really fortunate to have. About four or five of them have been playing pro ball over the years. Like, just happened naturally. Like, if you want me to be honest, like, it's an exceptional group athletically that the college guys are able to work with and go against. Like, we've been at the disadvantageous position athletically quite a few summers, and which has helped our guys astronomically. But we're able to do that in a very controlled setting where, like, a lot of times at the catch point, like, nobody's making a play on the ball. Like, the DB is dominant or has the right to the ball, the wideout will tail off, and vice versa. If it's a true, clean, even play, they'll both fight for it. But it's just worked out very, very well, where the guys really know how to compete while keeping each other up and healthy. So Sundays are
that's a maturity thing. That's really awesome.
and they run it, man. Like we started it. Like, I started it, but like, these guys just compete so respectfully. Like, there's still obviously some shit talking going on. It's natural, but like, as far as like keeping each other healthy, like, it's really special to watch. So Sundays we do that, and then we do the same for high school. I'll talk to the high school schedule in a little bit too, because it'll help you understand how we kind of sequence things. So Sunday we do that. Then Monday morning, the college guys will come over and we'll watch the film of the one-on-ones. We'll watch at my house, as many guys as we can fit in the basement. We'll put the film on, we'll watch it. But we'll go to the field first and do lower level stuff. We'll do catching. We'll do anything that we can fit in that's lower level. We might go through low level releases. We might do stationary or any type of hand combat on the move, things of that nature. Just because their bodies need to recover a little bit. We almost act like it's +1 from game day. Tuesday we go hard breaks. So now we're doing all of our hip drop stuff. That could be curl, that could be comeback, that could be hinge. We usually will give them the choice based on what scheme they run, but the drill work aligns with all of it, right? The drill work becomes significantly more general. The route work becomes a little more specific to the breaks. They can choose what breaks they want to work within the drill work. Within that drill work, we're working typically attacking our break points with full strides, right? Like aggressive body language, full strides, and we're working how our body position should be in the break, how our ground contact should be in the break, essentially, and then running out. Like, we're doing those things every day. Every Tuesday we're doing. The reason we do Tuesday hard breaks is because Wednesday we give the guys off, and hard breaks are a little more expensive on the body.
Right.
Thursday we'll go pressure step, speed cut. It'll vary, but we'll still integrate a little bit of hard. We'll pick like one or lower level hard break drill to just sprinkle in there out of the warm up, just so we're touching it every day. Similar to, like, I used to be a performance coach, and like the guys at Altus were like, acceleration's important. You're gonna hit accelerations every day. The volume will change, but you're hitting them every day. It's a similar concept to that. Some will speed cut, pressure step, and then Friday will be more releases and hip shift stuff. We might do specific separation tools. All right, we got a guy catch at 5. We are running a basic. If he's on my high hip, low hip, or whatever, this is how you win. And then we'll put them through like an 85% drill where they have to react to make a decision at the top. So these are all things that we're doing. Saturday they have off. Sunday we have one-on-ones. And then within those days that are our core days, right, our hard break days, we're integrating some other things in there. But that's kind of what we're doing. But we're always starting with some type of catching, and we're always ending with some type of competition. Whether it's we made a couple games that are a little less taxing on the body, the kids love them.
Do you what do you advise them on? Because, like, if they're doing 3 days of work right there, and then they're working, do you think they need to work on any additional speed work? Just because thinking like the CNS system, like,
Yeah.
the tax load, they start to get there. lifting wise, what do you advise them, right? Do you advise them, hey, we work from, this is what our training schedule is from a skill standpoint, this is what we're doing, and then this is what you could do workout wise without overtaxing your body and placing any extra pressure on it?
Yeah, so for the summer, we have the set days and what we're doing and stuff. I'll let them know, like, hey, I'll look at their programs, or I'll tell them,
Right.
hey, your speed work and your lower body work should be done on these days, and your upper body and tempo work, conditioning work, whatever they have in their plan, should be done on these days. That way we are recovering. So that's why, like, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday is typically what I recommend for them to do their higher intensity stuff, because then they're going to have light days on Monday, Wednesday, Saturday.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Wednesday we're off completely. Saturday we're off completely. And Monday is a really low level day. And then the other side of that is we've kind of built a really good relationship with these kids where, like, there's an open, like, fully transparent, like, and I can almost tell a lot of them now because we work with them for a period of time. Like, I know when something's off, right? There's something's off, whether their nervous system's fried or something's a little tight. And if not, we still have built that relationship where they'll say to me, hey, my right hamstring's a little tight. I say, okay, then you're working top or route for the day. You might not run into any breaks. You might fall into your breaks and work your catches. So we're very super, super cognizant on, like, you leave here better or feeling the same as when you got here. Like,
Right.
Rule number one is do no harm. If you get any type of pull, it could be 2 to 4 weeks. If you cut your volume, you're good in 2 days, right? So that's kind of how we kind of take the approach. The high school guys is tougher because
what their coach
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. They got 7-on-7. I don't know what they're doing anywhere. So it's kind of like, I kind of got to be, how you feeling today? How's everybody's tissues feeling day to day?
I got to tell you something interesting.
And that's a learning process for them too, right, Dave? Like, we talk about that all the time of, like, each individual, like, what some guy says, oh, coach, I can't go. Like, like, this is brutal. That's somebody like, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of it's that feeling out process of,
you got to know the kids.
Yeah, dude.
One of the things that I'm starting to shift my mindset on, and I'm not all the way there yet, but I may end up going all the way there on this, is 7-on-7.
Breaking noise. Breaking news.
Combo. It's a great combo.
So Derek knows this, obviously, because he coached me in high school too. I was always big that I thought 7-on-7 was very advantageous, I guess, from a team standpoint, because, you know, they're learning the route scheme, the defensive scheme, and they're playing. But over the last couple of years, because they do so many tournaments and stuff, one of the and I found that it's becoming harder for them, because if they go play a tournament, they really need a couple of days off, right?
100%.
So what ends up happening is, and that's usually not realistic in the world there, and I'm talking high school and younger kids. So, because they're going to go play, I don't know, basketball the next day, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, or running the track meet or something. And so what ends up happening is I feel like they start to overtax the body. And one of the things I'm not all the way there yet. I'm, like, kind of trying to figure this out. I'm, like, you know, looking at all the different things and seeing, but I'm starting to get to a point where I'm almost a bigger proponent, and I may end up shifting my own stuff that we do, because we have our own club, 7-on-7 club, and we run tournaments. But I'm almost in the mindset that they'd be better off with, like, a couple of league games each week versus playing in these tournaments, because it's a little more controllable variable. I know how much tax level they're going to be. Like, I know they play 2 games. This is kind of the tax level that they'll go through, and that's it, right? And then next week we know that. Whereas you go in a tournament, they can play 2-3 days. They could end up playing, like, 8-9 games, right? And it's almost like it's almost diminishing returns, like we talked about with, like, early, right? When you get to diminishing returns, now I get the whole point of, obviously, you got to learn scheme, all thing, but, like, does 8 games worth of it really make that big of a difference, right? It's 2 games get you where you need to be, and are you better off with training during the week, right? Training to develop your skill sets in those areas, to be able to. I'm curious if you have even thought about that, because I started seeing it. And I'm like, wow, they're playing. It's almost becoming like when you're on the AU basketball team and you reel off 10 games in 2 days. It's like, oh my God, well, you want them to go get 500 shots every single day, but they just played Saturday and Sunday basketball and for 10 games. I mean, they're not going to pick up a bat. They shouldn't even move for 2 more days. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
talk about like, am I kind of thinking almost like in a long-term development standpoint, that may be the way that they end up having to start going?
I think 7-on-7 is a very valuable tool that every team does every year, right? If it wasn't valuable, teams wouldn't be doing it in practice.
Right.
I think that it's beneficial for some kids where other kids might benefit more from training, right? Like if there's a kid who's like he's in his shell a little bit, he's not really super competitive. Well, let's throw him in the fire, and like you don't have a choice, because some of those tournaments get chippy, they get chopped. Like I think a kid like that could benefit from it. There have been kids we work with that like, hey, maybe this winter you just kind of train. And other kids were like, all right, you could benefit from it. The gripes I have are the time of the year. Like these kids just got out of football season. Like if you're going to be this, if you don't put the time into speed work, strength work, and skill work, you're going to be the same player for the most part. You can improve a little bit, but you're going to be the same. You can be the same player next year that you were this year if all you do is 7-on-7.
Correct.
Okay. And let's liken it to this. A good game for a receiver, you get the ball thrown to you 6 times in 7-on-7. It's not enough reps.
Talk about it all the time.
It's not enough reps.
100%.
Right? So there's one thing. Second thing that you hit on the head, which I think is probably the least spoken about part, is I think if you're playing these tournaments like once a month, I think it's okay. But if you're going multiple times a month, well, the reality of it is now they're younger. Okay. So there's more leeway for like screwing things up. But if I'm playing 3 games on Saturday and 3 games on Sunday, and I have a speed trainer on Monday, you're wasting time and money because your body is not ready to adapt to the speed work. Period. End of story. Whether your body feels it or not, your nervous system is not ready to adapt to the training a day after playing 6 games in 4 days.
Now, would you say Wednesday that week, Thursday that week, or what about even like a Thursday, Friday leading into a weekend of 6 games?
If it's nobody needs to play 6 games. There's the problem with tournaments, right? There is the problem with tournaments.
That's the issue I'm starting to.
Listen, Mike, it's why we've in the last couple years have even geared down our tournaments to 1 day. So even if maybe you are playing 6 games, but it's 1 day.
Yeah, you know ours are all 1 day now.
Dude, everything is a single day tournament. Rarely,
but I still, even though we run them, right? And I'm just because I run them and we have a club, and I'm kind of seeing like we've had some of our teams have done really well, and when our teams, losing the first round, they play 3-4 games. It's probably not a huge deal, right? Sometimes I started to get to the point where I would start to see them being tired. I'm like, you know what? It wouldn't be bad if we bowed out, because then they'd be okay. You know,
and sometimes we've done that for the good of the group. Like, hey, you guys have played really well. Like, we're good.
You look shot.
Yeah. Right. Like, this is not going to be good for
when they win. Like, when you get the kids winning, this is what the issue actually becomes. You get a group of kids that actually are really good, right? Like, you have a couple of age groups that are winning. They're going to play 6-7 games. You're 100% right. And they're competitors, right? So they want to play those games. And then you're like, oh, my God. So I start to get to the 6th, 7th game, and I'm actually starting to worry about them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not worried more about that than I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're worried about the championship. I'm worried about, are they okay? Like, I can see like they're tired,
Yeah, I think that, so there are some things at 7-on-7 that are like you legitimately can't get like in any other setting other than playing football, right? So there's value, like contested catch, tracking with somebody on your hip. Like, we are able to get it in some
controlled
of the things
settings
that we do in training, but like still, like it's just it is a valuable tool. It's a valuable
because you're competing, you're out there.
A game is a game.
Competition is huge. The competition is huge.
Yeah, there's so much.
I'm navigating through different windows that like are not available for me in training settings. So there's real value. That anybody that says there isn't, we better not see them doing it at their practice in the fall, right? Like to say there's no value in 7-on-7 is not fair. But I just think there's ways to optimize it. I don't know the ways. I also don't think December is the time to do it. Like,
no, I don't either.
Just played. Like, they just played a full season.
And that's another thing, Mike, that separates us when it comes to that is we
don't
rarely
play till March.
we don't play inside. Like we don't go indoors. Like we wait literally until the weather is. Look, that first weekend is always it's always a little chilly, but we don't go inside. There's just so many negatives that we see when it comes to it, whether it's space, just visualization of I'm losing the ball in the ceiling, like just all of those intangibles that like got let it go and
they're
let's
not
do this.
Ready,
like
to me, they're not ready. Like they need the recovery part right after a season, and then they need
that
the
break,
beginning of the development part before you start to play some 7-on-7. But and I was just curious your thoughts, because I'm like, I mean, this is just the way I am. I'm always trying to think like, is something I'm doing helping or hurting, right? Like, so
right.
Because when you're developing kids, and I have a 10-year-old, so I'm living his progress, and he plays quarterback and safety, and then but we use multiple quarterbacks, so he'll go play receiver, right? So especially at a young age, but I see it with them, like they happen to win a lot of tournaments, their group, and I'm just like, sometimes I'm like, man, I just feel like it's too much. And our high school kids the same way. Like we'll take those high school kids. They look great. They look sharp. I'm like, okay, hey, playing all those games is fine for them. If they look worn out when they got there, I'm like, okay, because we don't know. It's like you said with high school kids, you don't know. We don't know. Did they run a track meet yesterday?
Yeah.
Did they play a baseball game? Did they have a hard workout with a trainer? Right? I don't know all that. But as soon as I see them, like they're there and they're like, I'm like, hey, just play the best you can. Don't worry about trying to win. And I can sometimes I see their eyes like, okay, great. You know what I mean? Like it's not you. I want them to go compete, but like I don't want you going out there. It's never worth. And we'd say this to them all the time. You run a track meet the day before, right? And you're taxed. Hey man, it's not worth coming to 7-on-7.
100%. They should not be. If somebody runs a track meet, they should be shut down.
Shut down, right?
Yeah,
it's not worth it. So and these are the things, because you know what, they feel pressure, and
of course
you see it firsthand.
Yeah.
They see pressure to be recruited. To not that 7-on-7 doesn't do anything recruiting, but they think that if
they feel it though, I understand.
They feel it. You know what I'm saying? They feel it. It's not. I would say it's not the reality of what we see it as. It's what the reality that they see it as. That we have to address. Like you're constantly like, hey man, this isn't like, we tell people now, like, listen, like it drives me nuts when guys, in the old days, early 2010s, there was some stuff recruiting wise that you could do 7-on-7. That's not the case anymore. There's like people say, oh yeah, can your 7-on-7 film go to a coach and he sees it and he likes you from that? Yes, but like, these college coaches now, because of the transfer portal, they're not sitting at 7-on-7. There's not some liaison sitting at a 7-on-7 tournament looking for a kid. They don't need to do that anymore.
They don't need to do that.
There's nothing.
They're going to post it anyway.
None of those kids are going to be recruited at that level. I hate to say that, other than we know who those kids are that are, okay. Yeah, like you'll know, because they'll walk right out and you'll know what they look like. And okay.
Yeah.
You'll know who that guy is, right? The rest of them, they could be Division I players, but the rest of them are in a completely different boat, and that's a different situation. So I would say, like, don't look at this is a competition thing. I've gone all to this is a competition and getting better thing. It is not. Stop thinking about it as a recruiting. If you think that going to national tournaments all over the country, okay, because you're hoping for that to get you recruited, you're wasting a lot of time and a lot of money. Because that's 3 days. You could be with a trainer on Tuesday.
Spend that money on the trainer that's going to get you better.
Well, here's the best part about it, right? So here's the best part about the whole thing. The way college football works recruiting-wise now is you're going to have to go run a time based on your anthropometrics.
Correct.
So the number one like priority should be speed work. Like
it's your MPH.
Now, do I think that correlates to being a better football player all the time? Absolutely not. But the landscape of what it is they cannot recruit you if you don't fit the parameters. So
Great point.
We've done this. Like I've told kids, I don't want to see you till March. You need to sprint. You need to lift. Like, do not come see me till March. Like you've trained with us for a year and a half already. You can run. You can do all the foundation.
Other piece.
You can do all that foundational stuff. It doesn't matter how many one-on-one reps you win at XYZ's camp if you don't run the time they want. So to me, like that should you end your season we end in like November here in Long Island.
Yeah, we're listen. New York and Jersey are like very comparable, but we talk across the nation to a lot of guys whose calendars are similar and different, right? That's what's great about this, Mike. Is like we're touching on national guys here, so yeah, like end of November. Go ahead.
Yeah, so for me now, this is where like guys that are just already like they're naturally going to run the time that needs to be run. Like they have a little more leeway in what they want to do. I count the off season the same way as the school does here. It's winter, which is from the end of football season to the spring, like daylight savings. Then it's daylight savings until summer, and then it's summer till camp. So that winter, that first block out of the season, like for most guys, should be speed and strength, and then skill work sprinkled in, and then it's a sliding scale. The closer I get to the season, the more that the skill work goes up and maybe the strength work goes up, but you can really vertically integrate all of them. Like there's no reason you can't speed, strength, and skill everything, right? So I just think that people are missing the forest from the trees and like what they're doing it with their off seasons. Now, if we were in a perfect world, 7-on-7 would be in the spring, and it would be why not like a winter basketball league with your high school, but it's just 7-on-7 with your football team.
Correct.
So now you're playing local teams. I think that would be great. Now, this is not to like.
You know who does? I have some Illinois many years ago started it, and because of their rules, it had to be like it had to be a dad coaching the team or whatever.
Which I think is cool. Which I think is really a cool thing.
Yep. It was a dad.
Now you get people in the community involved, like super involved.
Or use your middle school coaches or somebody of that liaison, right? Maybe somebody that like run, are you freshman?
This is not.
Illinois did it, and it was very successful. They did it at this big dome place, and each week they would play. I think it was 2 games, maybe.
It's great.
And it was part of a league. And then Georgia adopted it, but it's with clubs. They have a club version, and then they have a kind of like what they would call like a high school teams version. They have both. So
I think that's a great idea. This is not to just like talk down on 7-on-7. I think it's a great tool. I think there are some organizations that are doing a fantastic job. Some of my close friends run 7-on-7 teams out here. And like, I just think that there's more ways to optimize it. We spoke about some of them. The problem is like, we don't know who's really in it for the development and who's trying to make money, right? So like
that's the problem.
Who's looking to pound their chest and say I have the best team? Or
I think it's even more pound their chest than make money, because I can't imagine these guys are making too much money. But
yeah, I have no idea.
And look, Dave's been in it a long time. I've been in it with him for as long as it. Like, look, we run the gamut when it comes to it. We've been doing, and we do it like all ages. Like we start our club team at like 8, right, and we go all the way up to 18, right. So we see the whole but I mean, there are so many like we won't go to certain tournaments because so and so is running it. Like we're not doing it. You know what I mean? Like
you learn the landscape of it. Yeah,
100%. And look, and it's why obviously it's ours. So it's why a lot of we never have problems filling tournaments, because guys understand how we go about it, the approach, what it is, why we're really there, right? And we will take those teams or those organizations based off of that, because it's about the development, because it's about, the kids are first, right? This isn't a marketing thing or a money-making thing or like whatever. We understand all of that and have done it long enough that our approach is different than others. And
hopefully make some money so we can keep surviving. But
at least as long as the referees get paid, we're good.
The key is the objective is not to have 150 tournaments, 150 teams at a tournament where it becomes chaos, right? It becomes like, it really just becomes everybody shooting their mouth off and that kind of a thing.
Yeah. I think it gets a bad rap. Like I think that for every bad social media post of 7-on-7, like there's a lot of good tournaments, right?
Absolutely.
You're right.
It definitely gets.
But we always focus on the bullshit.
Yeah, because it's outrageous. So like people love outrageous. You know what I mean?
Of course, of course.
I think that there's
I'm sure your best posts are when you're showing something that's extreme, right?
Yeah, and like people comment crazy stuff on it, and like I'm like, all right, we finally made it when we got guy from the woodworks coming out of nowhere talking about nothing.
Right.
But yeah, so I think that there's some good. I think that there's some bad. I think that it could be optimized a little better. I don't think it's going anywhere. I just think that kids should really think about what they're trying to get out of the off season, like individually. Like
Right.
I think it can benefit some kids more than others. There are some good programs out here by me. I'm just not a fan of what part of the off season it's run on personally. And my friends will tell you that my friends know that my friends that run programs know I feel this way.
Right.
But I don't talk. I'm not like talking down on it to people like it's just I think that there's some better things that most kids could be doing at that stage of the off season is pretty much all it is.
What we're learning, and you have that background from a physiological standpoint and exercise phys standpoint, is that what we're learning now much more than ever, right? And because there's so much, I mean, maybe part of it's because of AI, you get more and more information and social media, but we're starting to learn that like, hey, like these things start to optimize you more as an athlete. And these things, if you go over the top, can actually help you go in the opposite direction, right? Whereas the old days, people are like, hey, just work,
More is
work
more.
to the
More is
bone.
more.
More is more is more, right? And so what we're starting to learn, and any good coach obviously should be researching things for themselves because they can find, okay, this is more optimized to get the most out of the athlete, and to help to be healthier, right? At the same time, right? Because I think that's an important thing. I do want to ask you, so because I'm curious about this, the receiver position. Like what are there things that you think based off of different guys' sizes, right? Like big tall receiver, a shorter quick receiver, based off their sizes, are there certain things like releases and moves and things that you think are better for certain kind of body types? That's the best word. Body types that are and I'm curious because I see some and excuse my ignorance because I haven't watched every single video of yours, but like I see some other
videos,
other guys that like teach no matter who they are, big, tall, and in between, like same stuff, right? And then there are other guys that say, hey, this size of a body should do this, or this. This size body is better. This. Is that something that you look at?
Yeah. So we teach things similarly. There's always bandwidths of what we consider to be acceptable. So, and it's not necessarily just like height, weight. Like we have some 6'6" guys that can really get in some positions that some 5'11" guys can't get into.
Right.
So it's really just like what's comfortable for player A and what's comfortable for player B. Now, there are definitely some like different things at the line of scrimmage that we may teach to one kid and not teach to another kid based on their skill set. Like some of the bigger body guys, we're not teaching them as much jab stuff and displacement stuff. We are giving them tools to move somebody at the line, but maybe their toolbox is reduced because I can win more easily with combat. Right. So their release toolbox may be a little bit reduced and they may have a tool that a smaller guy might not have. Right. So I have a bigger tight end. Like maybe my release is literally to step at you to dictate your hands and I'll clear them because if you tell me you're going to punch me in the face on 3, 2, 1, I'm going to be able to clear it. I'm going to be able to avoid it. Well, if I step at you and I tell you to shoot your hands, I'm going to be able to clear it. I'm big and strong. So that's one example of like, hey, my release is literally to dictate and clear, whereas like a 5'5" guy or 5'7" guy or a 5'8" guy who weighs 170 pounds against a strong nickel is not working that, right? So that's one like really quick example. Another thing, like breakpoint positions. The 6'5" guy may, but more likely will not look the same as the 5'11" guy. But both of their hips do have to drop to an extent. Both of their chests have to come down to an extent, but they're not going to look exactly the same. Right? Maybe the smaller guy at the line of scrimmage is more comfortable shedding back versus chopping over the top to clear hands. Like, these are all things that we present them these tools, we present them these things, and they kind of organize with some advice and coaching what they want to do or what's more comfortable.
That makes great sense. Really, really great sense.
If to piggyback off that, Mike, when you have that group, do you teach them everything and then allow them to pick and choose what it is? Because I always tell the guys, like, hey man, like, I'm just getting, like, I know when you go back to your team, this is what you're going to use, or whatever it is, scheme wise, whatever, based off of what your coaches are going to tell you. I'm just giving you more tools to put in your toolbox so that you have them in your repertoire. You may never use them, but I also want to teach you these skill sets, or at least expose you a little bit to what this is. Is that kind of how the approach is?
The approach is exactly just like equipping you with as many tools as possible, but not too many, right? Like, what is optimal, right? Because there's too many, right? And then we try to do a really, really good job of explaining when, why, and how.
Got it.
Because if I teach you how to do a double jab or a double up, or I teach you how to do a stretch release, it doesn't matter how good you are at it if you don't use it at the appropriate time. If you have the best hammer in the world, you got the best hammer, you spent the most money on it, it's rated the best on Amazon, but you try and screw something into the wall with it, it's probably not going to work. Great hammer though, great tool, but you didn't use it the right way, right? So it's useless if it's not used in the proper time. So we try to make sure guys understand when, where, when, how, and why to use each tool. More importantly, which I thought you brought up a great point, which is one of the challenges that we run into, we have to make sure that what we are teaching is allowed in their system, which is probably the biggest part that I think gets missed by the private sector. Is like, it doesn't matter how much I know or how good this kid is at doing something if his OC will not allow him to do it. He does not like when he does it. Now, the better the kid, the more production the kid has, the more leeway he has.
Of course.
When we got freshmen who haven't played yet, it's really like, my OC doesn't like when I do this, then we won't do it. We're going to optimize what your OC likes you to do.
Right. I'm not going to waste my time teaching you something or getting you good at something that when you're literally going to, and I tell the guys all the time, like, look, in a respect facet as well, like, do not be the guy that goes back to your high school team and says,
100%.
well, my trainer said
1,000%.
that, because I've been on the other side of that as the high school guy, and the kid comes back and he's like, well, you know, and I'm like, you don't want to blast him and be like, well, your trainer doesn't know shit. You know what I'm saying? And you just
100%.
wasted $120 for God knows how many sessions. Like, I'm sorry. We can just get more working together. Like, don't make it a high school coach versus a trainer type of
100%.
Like,
we're on the same team.
Let's work together, bro. 100%. We both want this kid to do really well, and in turn helps everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah.
I think that's where Dave and I separate it too. Like, that's where we're a little
narrative.
different.
Like, I think there's a false narrative out there about, like, and you know what? It's because maybe there might be some private coaches that are not, because
there are.
But
no,
it's not a false narrative, but what it is there's not enough guys like you.
Yes.
So what it is there's got you, because I was, you know, when I was coaching high school and I was a head coach, I was also a trainer at that time, and just happened to be in that weird both world thing,
you
know, which most high school coaches obviously are not. I would see, you know, when kids would come back and say those things to me, and I'd be like, oh my God, like, that would be the last thing that I would ever want a coach to hear from one of the kids I work with, that my trainer said this, right? Like, because what happens is now he's going to go and say, don't go to this guy. And now, as a trainer, part of your business, obviously, in order for what you do really well to get out there, you gotta have clients, right? So if you don't have clients, it doesn't matter how much you know, right? So the gospel doesn't get spread if you don't have more clients that could do the job really well. So that 100%, I think the way that you approach it is 100%. But there are, you know what is more of an advent now, and it's more to lower levels, like high school and below. There's so many clubs now, whether it's 7-on-7 or like an intermingling of the whole worlds. Like, 7-on-7 club, and then there's a tackle club, and then there's like the trainer runs both of those.
Yeah,
and
it's very clicky. It's getting very clicky. Oh my goodness, it's getting very clicky. Like I've noticed that, and like it's just interesting to me. Like
it's very interesting. It's hard. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it's like it's very interesting. It's like you're trying to figure out how to navigate it, right?
It's exactly right. I'm not gonna say it's terrible or it's great or it's just very because I'm like I'd like to think I'm like outside looking in. I don't really want to be like attached to one program because we work with so many kids.
I think that's smart.
But
people will freeze you out because of it. So but I think it's smart because it makes you the expert at your craft, and there's a beauty to that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But there are guys that will freeze that out because then there'll be guys that'll be like, you know what, I'm going to be a wide receiver coach. I'm gonna have 97-on-7 teams. I'm gonna have a tackle team. I'm gonna have a flag team. I'm gonna have and then what happens is that ecosystem. It really is a business model thing. It really is like, do I want to be the wide receiver, the guy that any kid all the way up to college goes and says, this is who I go when I want to be great, like Lieberman was a good example of this.
Yeah.
Lieberman doesn't touch any of these other worlds, right? Like, he just wants the pro guys, and maybe he works with some younger guys too, but what you see mostly is the pro stuff. The pro guys to say, Lieberman is the guy, one of the guys that I will go to.
He's the guy. He's the guy. He's the guy in the NFL offseason, in my opinion. There are some really good guys, but what he does a lot more on the field that I don't think people realize. I was able to spend some time with him, and we have a good relationship, and I'm very grateful for it. He does a lot, and he's the guy. But you're right, like he doesn't touch any other stuff. Like he is a trainer. He built his system. His system is all encompassing. It's similar to that of like Tim Grover, what he did for Michael Jordan, where like it's a one-stop shop. Now, he works closely with their performance coaches, and because you have to have it, like when you're working with the high-level guys, there's got to be a line of communication from performance to skill to this, because that's like a recipe or an order going back to the restaurant, and the guy who's making one part of the meal has no coordination to the guy who's making the steak. The guy who's making this has no coordination to the guy who's making that. And now you got the worst meal in history, right? Like they've got to be in line with each other, coordinated with each other to make sure everything is afloat. So I think that's what you said about being like, hey, I'm just a wide, like you want to get better at receiver play. Like, please, like you could come to me. Like all I want to do is coach wideouts. I honestly hate the business stuff. I've gotten better at it, but I'm probably, if you ask somebody like one of the parents, they're probably like, he's a great wideout coach. He could get better a bit. Like I am not great as a businessman. I'm getting better at it. Like all I want to do is coach receivers. Like I love coaching receivers. I love working with kids. I love seeing kids get better and feel better.
Like a position coach that doesn't want to be a coordinator.
What Lieberman did that was good. Sorry, what Lieberman did that was good was he, for the kids who can't, younger kids who are not going to be able to either afford or be able, or he has no time to train them. He developed those like online programs for them. Yeah. That's how you reach. That's how you can reach masses without
Yeah, and he's got another guy. He's got another guy there who I think takes some of the high school and college stuff, who's also fantastic. He's young. He's going to be a really good coach. His name's Noah. So he's got another system in place there because Atlanta's a hotbed of athletes.
Right. Well, look, it's not like he's shutting out a market. He just knows, hey, this isn't my cup of tea, but you know what? I still want to offer it. And eventually some of those guys from there will transition into my guys if they get where they want to, right? So it's kind 100%. Of almost, he's almost creating a pseudo feeder program for it. Yeah. Because again, and I've watched Coach Schumann do this with his business. Like you find a market, it might not be your cup of tea, but you understand how to maneuver and use it as a piece to the puzzle, right? In order to get the big picture and kind of go that way with it. I think the self-awareness aspect, Mike, of you knowing like, dude, I just want to coach wideouts, but also knowing like, hey, I do have to do some of this business stuff. And then to continue to get better, like, we have to have money coming in.
Yeah, I hate it.
I totally understand, but
I had a guy
marketing, right? Or the marketing aspect.
Yeah, well, I just brought on a social media guy for the first time because like I have an 11-month-old now. I don't want to come home
welcome to it.
I don't want to cut up film and not for like from sessions and stuff like, hey, like you took the film. Here's what we look for our social media posts.
Right.
Now
you
I'm
walk
working
them
a little
through
bit
it.
more.
You create. You're like, here's how we do it. Here's the template.
And he kind of makes them. And then
now he maximizes what he's really good at or what he really wants to do, buddy.
Like you're outsourced to get your time back. So
100%.
And then like the youth groups, like I really don't. I'll come to a couple of youth groups, but like I have a guy who runs our youth stuff now because I'm
youth. What age, Mike? What age are you starting?
Like up to middle school. Like a lot of times we have Sunday sessions which are really fun. We come together with quarterbacks, and we do a little bit fun. But it's fun. So we'll train some younger guys at those sessions, but the youth stuff, it's starting to get older and older that we accept kids. Like we're starting to shut out. I'm like, go join a Ninja Warrior class. Like go.
We just talked to a guy who said, look, like anything, I don't do anything with them under like a certain age. He was like, look, 6th grade. That's you got to be Chad Wilson, right? DB guy from South Florida. We talked to Chad and he said, look, if a guy comes to me and says, hey, I want my son to get some one-on-one DB. Okay, well, how old is he? Oh, he's not even in 6th grade yet. Like come back to me when he's 14, 15, whatever that is. Or you know what I mean? Like
we're at about fifth grade, 6th grade.
Yeah.
It's got,
that's about when they can start to
I don't think that's where, that's where they start to get serious. We've talked about that, Dave.
Process things. It's process things. So like, you know, just because I have you guys have really young kids, but like I have a 10-year-old that I've watched him when he couldn't process anything, starts to process things. Like
I've seen him go. I've seen him transition.
10 years old, like I see now, like okay, like he starts to like when he comes out of whatever his sport is, like he can process like whether that went well. You know, when they're really young, they just think everything went well, whether it didn't or didn't, you know. So if you actually criticize them, they're really upset, you know, because they just think everything went well. When they get to be 10 is the first time I started to see him like that didn't go the way I wanted to go. And I'm like, okay, well, why didn't it go that way? You know, either like, okay, well, let's use basketball, for example. You know, I want to play fast. Coach wants me to slow down. I got out of sync. Okay. Or, you know, I wasn't getting to the basket a certain way, you know, like I wasn't like I was last week, you know, whereas when you're 8, like that's not even a processing thing.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like they don't even like, they're just
at those ages. And look, we do a really good job of we run youth camp, right? Like we've gotten younger in some of the things that we do at that point. Like a lot of that stuff is, you know, competition and fun, and we keep it light. And you know what I mean? Like we just want the guys to continue to join our things, right?
I think it's important.
Very important. And I think in the way that we do it,
they realize the parents realize, like parents just think, oh, have fun. I'm sorry, I'll let you go, but
no. I get exactly because I think we're going on the same thing.
Fun. And then all of a sudden, they want to all of a sudden shift at like 13 that all of a sudden your son's going to compete. Like to me,
they don't get that.
People get upset that I say this, but I'm like, it's a staged process.
Yes.
You got to introduce competition more and more as you get older.
When you lose that relay race,
it doesn't mean it's about winning or losing. It's about competing. And so all of a sudden you can't expect your kid of 14 who's never competed all of a sudden to compete and him be good at it.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, I'm sorry. No. I'm saying it's where we also see the lines getting blurred in terms of travel team, rec ball, like. You know what I'm saying? The levels.
Yeah.
If you haven't introduced competition to your son or daughter or whatever it is, now all of a sudden you're going to put them on an AAU team and they're traveling against the highest level of competition.
They're overwhelmed.
They're overwhelmed.
They'll probably quit.
And look, it's why we have, you know, it's why we bring on, you know, our psychology people. It's why we bring on these people to talk to them about the process of maturation. And it all comes back to this level of competition. If it's not instilled, or as a parent, you just assume that competition is already in them, you don't like, that's not where it's at. It has to be like introduced and explained. And this is what this is.
If you have a kid that let's say he is 11 and he's still really not ready to compete. Like he's still kind of a wreck dude. And you know what you got to do it at the age, like where they are. So you got to slowly introduce it. But if they're 12 and they're still slow behind the curve on that, that's okay. Keep slowly introducing it. But you don't just, now in 15, you think that somehow he's going to play varsity. Like, no, you know what? He's got to play freshman ball now. Like, that's who he has to be because it took him longer to compete, right? Now, there might be kids that it doesn't mean that they're going to be the best player when they're seniors, but maybe at 10, this kid was really able to compete at a higher level. And you could introduce more. And maybe as a freshman, he is ready to go. Now, it doesn't mean that both of them at 17 won't be at the same competition level. But you've got to know when you've got to stage it and you've got to introduce it and you've got to know how to react. They react to it. And I think that's where I think coaches like yourself, you see that because when you're training them, you could see how they compete in practice, right? Like, okay, he likes it. He doesn't,
We try to integrate. We've come up with a selection of games that we'll play at the end of sessions to compete. Our youth groups, we start with a modified team handball as the warm up, and they're competing, and kids are getting tackled, like they love it. And we end with walk ball every single time. So we end with 3-on-3 walk ball because the space is a little confined. So we do 3-on-3 walk ball, and we do team handball to warm up, just getting them competing. There's value in both, the movement literacy and competition from team handball, and then walk ball. At that age, you're getting some contested catch work. It's basically what it is. The youth groups are basically phys ed football unit. To be honest with you, is really what it is. It's let's get them to do wide out stuff without kind of realizing they're doing wide out stuff. We're playing small-sided games.
Say that. Yes. I heard a guy say this where he's like, the best coaches are the best brainwashers because they get guys to do shit they don't realize. You look at Indiana, hey, let's take this group of misfits and go win a national championship, and you guys can all do it. You know what I mean? It's really is. And for those younger groups, you got to be creative, right? Because, the attention spans and just the whole organization, I have some guys that put their kids in these things at such a young age, just so hey, learn how to stand in a line.
Yeah.
Learn how to wait your turn. That stuff has to be taught. It's mostly assumed that it is what it is. You throw them into somebody or surround them with guys that have done some of this stuff. That might, like you said, Coach Drew, you just said, it might, that kid might never want to go back and do anything like that ever again because it was just so whoa.
Yeah. The best day of the year for the high school guys that train with us is our first high school one-on-ones. Oh my goodness. Cause we do some live reps, modified live reps in training. But when we get the DBs down and some of these guys first time one-on-ones, their internal process speeds up, and it's so funny to see them trying to navigate through it, and it's just a great day because you get to see kids kind of feel a little defeated,
right?
But they keep coming back and they get better. Nobody stays the same throughout the summer, because we do them weekly, so. We have me and some of the coaches, we have these combos with the same kids whose first summer it is every year. We're listen, you're going to have a hard time. It's going to be okay. You're just going to keep coming back and keep working hard, and you're going to get better through it. Same thing with the college ones. Guys that do their first college one-on-ones in the summer really have a hard time. Granted, they're going against some really good defensive backs, but it's their first time. Really, they at school, they do one-on-ones but it's not, it's just different. And when you put somebody in front of them and that first one-on-ones, things get a little sped up. The competition raises their nervous system gets a little fired up. It's just a cool thing to see them mature throughout the summer in regards to being a competitor and watching the game slow down for them almost through the one-on-one stuff, because ultimately you've got to progress the training to having a stimulus or a stimuli to respond to, right? You have to. So we do a lot of stuff that's in a controlled setting on air and stuff like that. But as we get closer to the season, we start putting bodies out there for them to attack leverage on and feel running next to. We do more live releases where even though it's not a DB in front of them in our training, they're getting authentic hand fighting. They're seeing a DB line up in front of them so their process could slow down. And then we're fortunate enough to have one-on-ones weekly where like the competition level gets pretty high. Parents are there, music's blasting, it's organized. We have off segments, press segments, catch segments. Kids compete, but it gets very, very competitive. And that's something that's really valuable for these kids. Cause like you said, some of them like competition gets there, level gets boosted, and like their brains explode. Yeah. Right. And it's really important for them to be exposed to that and then see progression throughout the summer. We usually get about 8 to 10 one-on-one sessions with DBs a summer. And guys like look completely different from the beginning to the end, not even because of like we coach them well, but just because they get exposed to it and it starts slowing down.
There's no doubt about it. And that development, and when they start to see everything and understand everything, where it starts to slow down is when they start to really like, they make that legit progress the way that you want them to. Coach, before we jump all, unless Derek has any other questions, I don't know if you do or not, Derek.
No, we're good.
You're good. I want you to tell everybody where they can find you on social. Any URLs they need to know if they ever want to reach out to you or anything like that.
Yeah. So Twitter, it's at WR Coach Vannucci. VANN.
Two N's. Yeah.
2 N's, 2 C's. Instagram, it's at LIWR_Academy. And then we have a YouTube channel as well. Long Island Wide Receiver Academy.
Okay, cool. I'll make sure Derek gets it so I can put that into like the YouTube show notes too. So we have that. Awesome talking to you, man. Like anytime you ever want to, you ever want to come on and talk about something, dude.
You got it.
You know what? You know what's great about you? You're like me and Derek. We could talk all day. If we were around the dinner table, we'd all be talking and only, I don't know if we'll all be listening at the same time.
Yeah, we just want to talk ball. That's the best.
Great.
Just love the sport, love helping kids. Like that's the best. There's nothing better.
No, you're doing phenomenal stuff.
Awesome, dude.
I'm going to dive in more. I know Derek really has dived in on it.
It's just so easily accessible. Yeah. It's easy to understand. You know what I mean? Like you're putting it. I always call it like coaching in crayon. Like you're making it simple. You know what I mean? Like you know what I'm saying? Like because sometimes guys want to, like you said, like we referenced earlier, like you want to like prove that they just know more, or they want to use big words and all this other kind of stuff. Like it don't matter what we're talking about. Like we're all talking about the same shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
Keep the focus where it needs to be, like with the athletes, helping them get better, making them the best they can be, and then like keeping those relationships with those coaches and those guys that are like can be your friends. Like let's work together rather than like a pissing contest of who's who. Like relax. Like we're all just trying to help these kids get better. So I really appreciate what you do, man. Appreciate you taking the time. Like Dave said, if we can do anything or talk, whatever you need, like just let us know, man.
I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Have a great day, Mike.
You too, guys.
All right. See you, buddy.
That was very good stuff. Really, really, really good stuff.
I like the I just like think like the whole when, why, and how type thing that he said. You know what I mean? Like let me explain to you when to use this, why you're using this, how you're like, you know what I mean? Like all that stuff. Because guys just want to throw it out there, and then it's like, well, I don't know. Like they try to do it either all the time or they, you know what I mean? Like it's just. I think it's important that, hey, we're going to use this at this point and like explain that part to him. But he's doing a really great job, dude. We see so many of these guys that just, everybody trains, everybody's a trainer and all that other kind of stuff. Like it's like a glimpse of hope that like there's still some guys out there that are doing it the right way.
Well, you know what it is? Just like athletes are at different levels. Okay. To me, there are training philosophies that are different levels, and training development programs that are different levels. And every parent has to really, I think parents have to do a really good job.
Do your homework.
In not listen, there are sometimes that guys are flashy and they're great. They're great coaches too. Okay.
Right.
There are guys.
Right.
And there's some guys that are just flash. Right. So, there's some guys that, that have zero flash to them and they are really great. There are some guys that have zero flash to them that aren't great. So, like, I think parents really have to, it doesn't mean you have to know the sport. You got to talk to the person that's working with your kid.
Yeah.
Okay. And even if you start paying, like, I think there's nothing wrong with this. I'm going to go to either a free session or a paid session, pay them. It's worth paying them to watch them work with your child. Okay.
Yeah.
So you could see, even if you don't like, oh, and then you realize people are like, oh, and I don't want to waste money. No, it's worth losing $40 to go and see if that person's what your kid needs, right? Or is the kind of mentality or the kind of person you want your kid working with. Then you come out of there and say, this is to me, I look at it like this. Do I think that this person is good mentally for my child? Meaning, yes, I want them to, I'm not going to send I like to use basketball as an example because it's kind of easy, but I'm not going to send my kid to a shooting coach who doesn't know how to teach shooting. No, I'm not going to do that. Even if he's a great person. But if I send them to a shooting coach and the guy's a dick, okay, I'm not sending them back there because he's a dick. Okay.
Yeah.
If he's a really good shooting coach and he seems to show that he cares about my kid, then I'll continue to go to them. And listen, that sometimes trainers, you go to a person, they're really good for you for 6 months, and then kind of that's it.
That's it. Some guys
go to
like
another guy because so it doesn't mean that they're a good or bad person. It's that you got to a cap with that person. So
you're 100% right, dude.
There's a lot of things that have to do with getting kids better that are really important for parents to understand, and you've got to spend the time to watch it. And one of the things I like, obviously in football, the school I go to, there are football players, but there's not as many as there are. They all play basketball because obviously they have basketball as a school, right? So I see these parents at some of the basketball trainings that we have, and I talk to them and I listen to how they think about it. And I'm like, that's kind of how I think about it too. Even though they may not even be a sports guy like I am, you know what I mean? And they'll ask me like, hey, did you ever play for this club or that club? And I'm like,
right.
This, and I try to tell people this was what my experience was. It has zero to do whether it's going to be your experience, but my experience was X, right? Like, whether my kid is on that club or not, like basketball wise, I'm like, hey, if you can make the team with this coach, it's worthwhile. Even though we don't play there anymore because we play football and we don't have time to like play, dedicate everything to AAU basketball as much as we'd like to. Time is a constraint. But I said, if you can make one of this guy's teams, whether it's the A or the B or the C, he's good. Play for him because your kid will get better. He's enthusiastic. He's positive. Do I think he's the greatest X's and O's? I don't know whether he is or he isn't.
But that's not where we're at.
But he's very good with the kids.
Which is like, hey, that's what the focal point needs to be.
He's very tough on him, but he's good with them too. Good. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying like that's what you want. Like as a parent, you got to ask questions. You can't just go with the Joneses or what you see or like, you know what I mean? Do some of your own homework, especially if you're going to invest money into something. Like you said, like I'll throw away $40 to go and see a session. Don't just hearsay of, oh, this guy's great. It might not be great for your kid, right? Or it might not just be, it might be in the future or it's not where they're at right now, right? Like you have to kind of do your homework as well. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you do it for everything else. Like, why not? You know what I mean? Like it's got to be important enough to take a little bit more of a hands-on approach to it. I think that's the biggest thing.
Absolutely. I watch how they interact, and I watch how they interact with my kid. but like I'll watch how they interact with other kids too.
Correct.
Like I'm like, oh, okay.
Because for the most part, like, like your kid gets it, he understands it, he's been around other trainers and stuff like that. But I also think like when you see that to others, like, okay, you know what I mean? Like how somebody interacts with the kid who might not be as talented as others or is doing something else. You know what I mean? Like just
and the like-mindedness
across the board. Right.
The like-mindedness, the thing that like I am a driven person. I am driven for my kid. Like I don't make any bones about that. Like if you talk, look, if you know, and I almost have this discussion with him every 2 days because he's a competitor, but he's also can be temperamental. And I always say, hey, you know, this is what's required. You don't have to do that. I'm just saying if you like if you go into the game and you're struggling shooting, and then, let's say you struggle 3 days in a row shooting, and I'll be like, well, how many shots did you do this week?
How much work did you put in?
And then he goes, oh, well, yeah, but I go to practice. This is what all kids do. I said, yeah, no. I said, if you want to be good at shooting, it's fairly simple. Okay. And listen, the best way to be best at shooting is create variables and you're shooting. That's probably the best way. But that's hard to do. It's hard to do on your own. Okay. So I recognize that. But at minimum, what you have to do is shoot on your own. So, you know,
damn right.
He goes, oh, well, I have a shooting coach. I watched a guy who I send him for shooting to. I watched him coach other kids for 2 years, Derek.
There you go. Before you signed off on your kid going.
Yes, because he has a nonchalant style. Okay.
I hope a lot of these guys are still around when my two want to get into this. I mean, shit, we're talking,
well, basketball, the young guy, you know, you never know because the business is, I don't think any of them, you know, the best ones might make 6 figures, but
it's like funny though, like, not to cut, like Mike he's like, hey, did Coach Schumann do like camps and stuff or something? Like when we were talking before you got on off air, and I'm like, I guarantee you went to one of his camps or did some shit with him, buddy. Like, you know, he's like, dude, the name sounded so familiar. I was like, did he like used to put out like a report or something? And I was like, I'm sure you were on a list, dude, or whatever it is. I said, Coach Schu's done it all and whatever. He was like, oh man. He's like, and then I was talking to some buddies that were like, oh, dude, you don't remember it? You see this? Or I was like, that's what we're working with here, dude. Like, yeah, you're gonna talk to him today. Like, it was kind of funny. I was like, yep.
Yeah, no,
I deal with this all the time. I was like, I deal with this all the time. Of like, yeah, that's that guy. Like,
right? Because even though my name is always associated with it, but you see the picture of me more than you see me put my name. You would see NUC Sports, but then you would see this picture of this guy, and I'm obviously older than I was then. So. I was younger. I had dark hair then. So, you know, which I don't have anymore.
Well, neither of us ever had a beard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, beards just weren't a thing. So, like, normally when you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
now you have a beard.
We were talking about this, but I was even talking about the other day, like, with, like, guys, like, whatever. Like, some people are just unrecognizable because beards are, like, a thing. And, like, they weren't for so long. Like, clean shaven, whatever. Like, now everybody just has a beard. So it's.
Yeah. It is funny. It's very like when your kids, your daughters.
So think about like, so Avery's 2.5. So
like it's so interesting. So like the guy at although I'm trying to think, there probably is there's some basketball guys closer to where you are that are actually great too. Really good.
Like there's I think there's like
Aldorado's by you. He's really good.
Yeah, this area down here, and Dave, with the new Superdome opening up, I can only imagine what's going to flood into this. You know what I'm saying? Like there's going to be a whole. And dude, I'm telling you, I drive by this place every day. It's so much bigger than the one in Waldwick. Like it's huge.
Yeah, I think
it's going to be bigger than what's that place up by you in Manalapan that we've used before.
Oh, Sportica, which is huge.
Oh, dude, this is it's bigger. No doubt. There's no doubt.
Yeah. So so you're gonna have. So what's interesting, like the basketball up here is dominated by this family that runs the training. And then they own Sportica. What was Sportica? They own a bunch of basketball facilities, And so we train at one of the places we train is one of their like little facilities. That's where the guy came up with this great idea to do 3v3. And
so great.
It's so great. But he's a young guy. He's a young guy, but you never know, like, because even if a guy makes 6 figures, like, you never know if he goes on somewhere else or something. But
or just doesn't want to, like, just change,
or doesn't want to do it anymore.
Doesn't want to do it anymore. Like,
exactly.
Okay,
so you don't know how that works in the training world, but you know what? Like I the first time I sent him to that guy, because we go to 2 different guys for basketball, an older and a younger guy, and like they both serve like a purpose, and I think they both help. But I like I always said, like ultimately, like when you talk to your kids, this is one of the things I was ultimately say, like, if you want to be the best, there are certain things you have to do. If you don't care about being the best and you want to be good on your team, then you can get away with, if you're talented, not doing this, and this. But if you want to be the best, there are things that you cannot get around. Okay. It's just, and I'm not saying this has nothing to do with running miles or anything like that. It has to do with skill wise. There are certain things you can't get around. And it's harder when it's your kid, because I know it to be true. But when you communicate it to your children, they look at you still as dad, and they, no matter what you're still dad. And all kids like to rebel against their dads, and they like to think to themselves in the back of their head, what does he know? You know what I mean? Like, so it becomes the thing. It's not till you're an adult that you realize, oh, your dad knows some things. But it is important, because too many parents, in my opinion, either say, Johnny, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And they think that they're the greatest thing since sliced bread when they're not. Like, I watched them. Then there are too many parents that go the way opposite way, which is, dude, you're horrible. You're not like, you're like, you're so, whatever it is. It's not that they're saying they're horrible, but like everything's negative. Okay. It's really in between in most cases. You have to have a yin and a yang in development. Like, you have to be able to, as an athlete, take some criticism and learn from it, because otherwise you're not going to get better. And yes, you also need some praise in order to be encouraged to do more, right? So there is a yin and a yang. And I think what the problem with most parents, just because of how you are as a parent, and it's hard, they either fall into the everything you do is great, or they're overly critical. And you do need a little bit of both. You have to know when to do it, but you also have to know your kid, dude. Like, there are some kids that are, I don't know, they're like stone. They can handle anything. I don't know why they are that way. God made them that way. There are some kids that can't handle anything. Okay.
Yep.
And you got to know where your kid is at, which puts you on the curve of positive towards criticism. Like, you got where you're going to be as a parent. So sometimes you got to fight against your own human nature. Like,
yes, sir.
My human nature 100% is to figure out the problem and to try to solve it on everything I do. And I have to dial it back, because the first thing I see is like, hey, that was good, but like, if we fix this will be better, right? And I have to sometimes dial that back. That's very hard for me. Very hard for me.
Greg Olson was talking about on his podcast. He had Dan Orlovsky on, right? And they were just talking about, and he was like, look, like, I just, like, for Olson, he was saying, like, I just don't understand ever doing something and not wanting to be the greatest at it. Like, he's like, and that's where my wife has to kind of come in and be like, look, Greg, not everybody's like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some guys are just doing it to do it. Like, it is what it is. And I get it, because I'm the same way, right? Like, anything I'm going to do it above and beyond and better and give 110%. And that's not, you know what I mean? Like, it's not what the world is.
And that's very important, because it doesn't mean that the kid won't get to that point. You have to know where they are.
Absolutely.
Figure out how you can meet them where they are, and then figure out
100%.
Can you slowly nudge them? Can you nudge? That's why I ask.
You got to brainwash them.
Well, I asked these questions because when you give me an answer, that's you giving me the answer. It's not me giving the answer. So
Correct.
like now sometimes there ends up being crying, okay, involved in it because it is hard as a kid for you to actually say to yourself, shit, I'm actually not putting in the work. And then you as a kid, you're gonna cry. Okay. That's just reality. But you know what? I'm like, hey, dude, I'm like, it's not worth crying over. It's good to realize it. Okay. Because now you can make a decision as to whether the next time I ask you if you want to do something, whether you want to do it or not, because now you'll make a decision based off of what we discussed, how good you want to be. And either answer is okay. To be honest, the either answer is okay.
Right. I just want to know.
If you tell me you want to be good and then you show me something different, then
Right.
I understand what the real answer is, but you need to come to grips with that a little bit.
Absolutely.
Even though you're young, because what happens,
you still got to understand it and still got to want to be here. And I need to hear it from you. Don't just tell me it because you know it's what I want to hear. Or if it isn't what you want to do, then I want to know that too. Like, and I'm not going to be pissed or whatever. And I might try to nudge you a little bit and ask again and continue to ask. But if ultimately it's not what you want to do, dude, like that. It's why I've asked you, like, what age do you put it in their hands? You know what I'm saying? Like,
each year I've kind of always I realized some of the things when he was younger, I was way too early on some things, and I kind of had dialed back.
That's a really hard thing for parents, even knowing
that I didn't know early on.
You know what I'm saying? And then the placement is so important. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, that's why you got to do your damn homework, right? Like,
and the important thing is women lie, men lie. And this is why I say this. What that really means is outside people that are not within your family, and maybe even sometimes people within your family, but outside people have completely different objectives necessarily than your objectives.
Correct. 100%.
So it's not that they're lying to you on purpose. They're not purposely lying to you.
Right.
So people, they're
look, I'll be honest with you right now, Dave. Like, I'm going through it because my two nieces are sophomores at Butler and they're starting on the girls basketball team. And one started last year as a freshman and, got some accolades, and they're two like higher level players of what it is. And, I now have, cousins asking questions because they know, like, this is what I do and I'm in this world, and I'm trying to, hey, these are the things you need to do, like as a freshman becoming a sophomore, or now from like where you're at now to here. And like, if this is like, hey, I want to play college basketball, like you need to start doing some of these things. And it's kind of like, oh, well, she doesn't do that, or, oh, she doesn't have that, right? Like, okay, well, if this is where you want to go, some of those class choices need to change, or those grades need to change, or she needs to be playing on this travel team, or okay, she goes to, or she plays on this AAU team. But if you want to get here, you need to look at a different team. And that's where I have to remove the Godfather hat, right? And put on, okay, like this is a not business, but if you really want to listen, like, and you want to do this, like, this is what I tell everyone and all of the guys that want to do these types of things. Like, this is what it is, and it's kind of been a little like temperamental in terms of like, oh, okay. Like, hey, you asked the question, I'm going to give you the, you know what I mean? Like, this is how I can help you, not as God, like, because I'll be there to support whatever the hell you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be the first one to cheer you on and rah and do all this shit. But at the same point, like, look, if she don't learn how to do this, or she's like this ain't going to happen, right? Where I have to now, it's kind of like, well, what do you mean? She's, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a fine line of what that is.
I have a cousin who my cousin's son, one of my cousin's son is he now is like just a student. Actually, he might be graduated from college now, but when he was a stud at, like, his father was tall and was like, I think, a tennis player in college, but like this kid was like, his father's lean. This kid was like, he looks like a football player, like right from when he was young. But he didn't play football because they would never let him play football. But he's like 6'2.5", 6'3", okay, and as a senior, he was probably about 205, 210, maybe bigger. All right. Like big, huge kid. I think he was a soccer goalie. But I bring this up because my aunt was telling me the story about his whole life. He was a point guard, and he was a great point guard all the way through AU, all that kind of stuff. And he went to a public school, where town he lived in. And it's in New York, and it's a big school. But he really was like the stud athlete in that kind of class. And not a pretty powerful school for New York City, but not like the best, but a good one. Like it would be like, I don't know, it could be like a brick. It was like would be equivalent like a group 4 or 5 school down here.
Right.
So, but he was, if not the best, one of the 2 or 3 best athletes in his class in that school. So he obviously a good athlete, big kid. Anyway, so the basketball coach that he was there was the mother was telling me that always like small guards. But he was a big, like Magic Johnson type point guard and was great. Well, immediately they threw him in at center, right?
Of course.
And he was very upset and struggled early on. Okay. And then, but this is why I bring this up. The father, my cousin, is the kind of guy who will never say anything. Like his whole philosophy is to never say anything about anything, right? Kind of like the chips will fall where they may. It was if he wants to do something, he's got to speak to him. Kind of like what you as coaches will say is a dream from that standpoint. Like that's who he is. All right. Well, he struggled with that as a kid early on. So now he was always starting. I think from the time he's a sophomore, he started.
Oh, I'm sure, dude.
He was playing. But he was good. They eventually moved him, I think, to like the 3, so out from the 5 into like the 3 or the 4, and he ended up having a really great senior year. But my aunt said to me, if he really just was willing to talk to the coaches, or maybe if my cousin was willing to say, hey, maybe he should go to a different place, he might have been able to go play point guard. And not that he would have went Division I, but like could have been a college basketball player. He was. But at the 3, I mean, or the 4, how many 6'2.5", 4s are there anywhere? No, nowhere, right? But in college, you're a 6'3" guard can play. So, and she brought that up to me to say, hey, you have to figure out with your son what is best and keep figuring that out, because what is good when they're younger is not necessarily what gets you to college if that's what they want to play.
100%.
So you got to figure out the push and the pull. Like, so I would say like, hey, playing some center and playing point guard isn't bad because you learn to rebound. You learn to,
learn it all.
Learn it all is good. When you get older, you have to figure out what are you going to be great at, because you got to go in all in. And if you're going to go to a school, let's say that the guy loves 5'9" point guards that are quick and shifty, and you happen to be a point guard and you're tall, right? A taller guy for high school, quote unquote, not for college, but
right.
Then you have to figure out if this is a place you're willing to, that you might have to move. If not, you got to go somewhere else. I hate to say this for people, but that's the truth.
But
go somewhere else because you're not gonna
easier nowadays.
What's that?
I think
it is easier nowadays. It is
because more people have done it. There's kind of a road to it. Like, here's how you do it, right? Like, there's more it's just more in the limelight of things. Look, and
you got to know how good you really are at that position.
That's the part, Dave, that it comes down to is you got to really be self-aware and know where you're at. And that's very hard to gauge for parents, coaches. You know what I mean? Like, you got to understand that middle school is not high school. Just because you were good in 7th grade doesn't mean you're going to go in and start varsity as a freshman. Like, there's a process to the whole thing. Like, understanding that, and I get it. It's so hard for parents because it's, everybody's telling you this. Like, look, I'm dealing with it now because everybody is watching these 2 girls do really, really well and, drop this many points a game, and this one's this, and everybody's telling them, and hey, I'm like, guys, like, let me shift hats here, and the reality of thing is, like, she don't have the grades to go anywhere, or this one, like, she's not very good at this, like, if you don't do this, like, there's not even a chance. You know what I mean? Like, whereas everybody else just continues to like feed into that monster of, oh, good, great, wonderful. Like, I always have to be the guy that's like,
take a step
here's the
back.
reality.
I think everybody has to take a step back and stop using the word scholarship. So,
oh God,
because the reality is this, where, by the way, in the old days, that's what I used, you know, but the reason why I say that is because the competition for a scholar, it's not that you don't aspire to that, but it's a different evaluation process now. Okay. If you truly become the elite, all right, and you'll pretty much know that because you'll dominate every facet and you'll be far and away the best player at all times. If you truly are elite, it's a different conversation. If you're really, really good, okay, but not yet elite, your whole focus is to be the very best, whatever it is you can be, and then get to the places that you can to get you like college-wise to look at. But if you're focused on the scholarship, you're going to chase after if you're not the elite of the elite, if you're going to choose a college that you don't want to be at. So
and you're going to choose it for the wrong reasons, and you're going to end up in,
yes.
you know, now we're backpedaling and we're trying to figure out this because of this, and we did all this. Like, let's just stop all that stuff and let's just get better ourselves, and let's learn. Let's learn to know us.
Derek.
It is. It's across the board, dude. It really
You're
is.
A pro athlete.
Amateurism is.
You're dead. When you leave high school, and if you actually go and play your sport in college,
yep,
whether you're a paid athlete or non-paid, you are a pro athlete. And you're a pro athlete, and it's just a matter of what your compensation is. Okay, your compensation may be $5,000 at academic scholarship money at the Division III level. Okay. And if you're an elite guy, it may be $5 million if you're a quarterback at Alabama. Okay. But you're a pro athlete, and it's what level of pro you are. Okay. So you've got to, if you approach it any other way, because when guys are like, I want to get a scholarship, I'm like, listen, you don't
even know what a scholarship is, though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they think scholarship is getting paid. Some of these guys are mixing up NIL and scholarships. Like,
they don't even,
you know what I'm saying? Because they just don't understand the whole. I'm telling you, dude.
It is confusing.
Our market is to pay us. We will come in and talk to every parent in your program and explain what it is. This is what you do as a 7th grader, 8th grader, freshman. And look, and we'll preface it with this is like, and everything we just told you might not mean a goddamn thing, because like that's not the situation that it's in. And every school is going to do what they do. But here's the bigger picture parameters of you probably should be maneuvering in this column or this, checking these boxes. These are some of the non-negotiables. This is what this word means. I mean, you could do a whole session on just like vocab words of like, this is what NIL is. Okay. This is what a grant is. This is what a scholarship is. Like this, all of these intricacies. And by the way, they're constantly changing. So if you're not staying on top of it, look, and I say it all the time to you, right? Like, even if they had an older child that went through it 2 years ago, not even close. A year ago, not even close. 6 months ago, shit, not even close. Like, you know, like, definitely not for you, even with youth. Now, all of a sudden, your league pushes back a month, changes the entire dynamic of your entire situation, organization, team, like the whole thing of holy shit. Like,
I mean, all their end up like, they think they're helping other teams. All they're doing is making our team and Wombo's team just into an
monsters,
even more monsters.
But for you now, like, okay, now I gotta go and find out. Are you staying up? Are you coming down? Are you coming up? Are you going down? Like,
people are going to come down. So what I think happens in this situation is, if they view the group that's down, the coaches, as being really good,
they're coming down.
Right. And the ones that could go down that are with you, they'll stay. So they're just going to stay.
Right. They're not going to something that they're unfamiliar with, or they know is a disaster.
The good teams will benefit even more.
That's what I was going to say.
And the good teams will get better,
and the bad teams will get
worse.
Yep. So you're creating the polar opposite of what you're trying to do. You're trying to create, what's the word I'm looking for?
They're trying to create a situation where some kids that would be good if they drop down a level can go to create more parity, right? But what ends up happening,
parity is the word I'm looking for. You're looking for more teams to be even.
Yes, which I understand that. Believe me, I would love for that. I would
absolutely
love. But
will this now create A and B teams?
They're already well, in some cases,
no, it's already there, but for some cases, like, oh shit, we had a lot of
the age group below me had 36 kids on their team, so they're on the border already. So they will.
That's a shit ton.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a great job of getting kids out for the team.
Yeah, but think about it. Like, hey, this guy's got to play how many plays? Oh my god.
Well, his team just missed the playoffs, but it's because he has to rotate. If he
he can't just stick with 11, the hammers. He'd win every game.
If he played his best 11, he might be one of the 2 or 3 best teams.
Damn right.
So, like everyone's like, oh,
really hard.
Like when someone said to me, like, oh, they're not coach. I'm like, dude, he's got 36 kids. Like, you know what? If he wanted,
like, do you know how hard it is to coach that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? If you have really onboard assistants of like, hey, they know what they're doing or whatever it is.
I've watched
the logistics of a 36-man practice for youth.
He'll be up 14-0 in games and lose, not because he didn't coach well. It's because he's got to rotate everybody.
Because this guy's got to go in, and we got to do this.
Right.
So
it has nothing to do with it at that age. There is a part to how many kids you have on a team and all that kind of stuff. And
my gosh.
But there is what happened?
Breaking news.
Did you see, by the way, Hafley got the Miami job?
Did you know he's a Pascack Valley guy? I didn't know that.
No, Pascack Hills.
Pascack Hills. Sorry. Because the guy that works with us, Tony Durkin, was a phenomenal running back there back in the day. Just went in their first ever went in their first ever Hall of Fame. Yeah, he worked with us this year. Like,
what year?
Older than us. Like, he might be like more around like my dad's age.
Yeah, that's where Brooks Alexander used to coach.
I thought Valley was always, or Hills was always like always this redheaded stepchild to Valley.
Yeah. They are
like an Indian Hills Ramapo situation. But breaking news,
it's exactly that.
Our good friend and might be definitely a guest on the podcast. Tariq Holman, Hudson Catholic head coach.
Oh yeah, I knew that yesterday.
Guy.
Yeah, it was just that I heard yesterday that I heard that yesterday.
Also, I know Hafley got that job, but Campanile, and he interviewed for that, and he just interviewed for the Ravens head job.
Oh,
so this is his second cycle of interviews for head coaches in the head coaching
Jacksonville, job. Right? He's
Jacksonville. And the turnaround they had defensively, holy shit, dude.
But if he doesn't he might get one in this cycle because there's a lot.
If not, within 2 years, 100%, no doubt. And I know, like, he had worked. I thought the Dolphins could have been an option because he was there, and I know they brought in they brought in the Green Bay guy who had worked with him when he was in Green Bay, and now even with he worked with Hafley, what I mean? Like, he's gonna get something, dude. It is so wild. I was talking to my head coach about this, like the reason I got the job at Bosco was because he left to go to Rutgers to be you know what I mean? Like, I missed him by a year. And everything I did was based off of that's how we did it here with Coach Ant. Like, we're going to continue to do it. Right. Like, my best friend, Drew, who's now followed him in his footsteps because he was his receivers coach. And now he's with him in Jacksonville as the assistant DB coach. And Drew's probably got a lot of the things he has because of Ant and that connection. Like, now they're actually together. Wherever he goes, Drew's going. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
I'm going to be looking at a really good friend that's going to be possibly a NFL DC. Holy shit, dude. To have literally that, I don't know, just that connection of that's your guy, literally be at that level. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just it's a really wild feeling to be dude, this is holy shit, bro.
I'll get used to it.
You're a small percentage You know, like you're a small percentage of what does that on that level. Like that's so fucking cool, dude. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit, good for you. You know,
as you get older, you start to see that more and more because, you know, like my defensive coordinator just retired from being an NFL coach for, you know, he was the defensive back coach for Tampa
right?
Bay.
Like, yeah, yes. You talked about him. I think you mentioned him the other day. But I always felt like, I always thought that was so cool to watch either guys you played with or coaches, like go here or go there or do this or do that. Like just things like that at one time you aspired to do, but life just takes you in certain directions. And now like you just see that they stayed the course or they,
I wonder what Vito feels.
dude.
Vito, who's such a great coach. I wonder how,
because I actually talked to him the other day. I shot it. We were texting back and forth. Look at Nick. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
right. They've chosen to stay high school, right? So far.
Whereas Nunzio has made a jump and now he's your guy. Like, he's calling plays for your boys. Are you like, that's
dude,
so
he got
cool,
you know who he got to UConn? Emmanuel Ross.
Saw that. Yes. Saw that the other day.
That was huge.
Dude, I'm just telling you, he's going to create a pipeline where there's going to be more Jersey Cats going there now.
Yeah, the only thing you don't know, because of the way college is, literally,
will they stay?
Jones could be there 2 years, and you know, he could be a head coach.
For him, I think 100%, right? Because I know he was up for the Penn job.
I didn't anticipate him being there long, not because he wouldn't want it, because eventually he's going to be a head coach, right? So.
Like I said, I know he was up
2 great years,
job, right?
That'll be awesome, you know.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I just think he'll create a nice little pipeline up there for him. You're thinking, hey, I live in Franklin Lakes, right? My kid goes to Sacred Heart, right? Like Syracuse, UConn, like, and a jump in title or responsibility where now you're calling plays, buddy. Like, you're the guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they make those moves, but behind the scenes too, like just knowing them as a family, like, hey, dude, I'm going to call my brother at Bergen Catholic. Like, hey, UConn's on his top 10, right? Or I'm going to call my buddy at my brother at DePaul. Like, hey, UConn's now in that guy's top 5. Like, he's just going to get more eyes on UConn getting Jersey kids. Like, that's, right. And I think that's UConn's one of those schools. Like, they've had success, but it's not in the limelight, right? Like, it's not flashy or whatever. Like, they've won games and they've had some stability under that. So they've shown that they can do it. Once you get some of these Jersey guys to go there and now start to have success, dude, like now UConn's going to be on the menu, right? You know what I'm saying? Because Rutgers is Rutgers, probably not even going to recruit that cat. Or, you know, if they do, Craig's not going to give him that love.
I wonder what I don't know what Rutgers' budget is, but like,
dude,
UConn landed him. They had to pay Emmanuel pretty good. They probably UConn.
Yeah, because you had to beat out whatever Syracuse is paying, which is pretty good money. Like, we know that. Like,
right. And we beat out we got the backup quarterback from Tennessee, Merklinger.
Saw that.
So like they had to pay him pretty good.
Oh God, dude.
Yeah, so
I can't wait till you're on the inside track and you start to know those numbers.
They have some money now. UConn must have some money going in there. UConn's biggest donor is, I don't know if you ever heard of her, but like there's a girl influencer named Charlie D'Amelio. She's like the biggest TikToker or whatever.
Yeah.
And so he went to UConn. I guess he was there when I was there, but I didn't know who he was. But that family is like the big for basketball and also football, like the biggest donation group. And they're like, you know, I don't know exactly what they're worth, but it must be north of 100 million. And
gotta be.
Yeah. So they're a big part of. So and all these schools, you know, that have like you start to see progress being made. That is one of the big things that you're seeing is there's a person or a group of persons that are putting in an extreme amount of money. Mark Cuban at Indiana. Okay.
Dude, you saw him last night. Like somebody asked him about like, hey, investing in better players. Does that change the dynamic of your locker room or whatever? And he's like 100%. Like you start dealing with these guys. You want to just go buy the best players?
You got to be careful.
But you look at like, and they did a great stat on like Indiana and Miami, both majority of their rosters are 4 or 5 year guys that have played the game and have been there and done those. They might not have spent all 4 or 5.
Malachi's a freak, dude.
See, dude, and Fletcher. Could you imagine Malachi and Fletcher were on the same roster? Mike had both of them at the same time. Fletcher went to Heritage too.
What?
Yeah, bro. I told you, Mike is on a different level, Dave, when it comes to players. Like, it's why I reference it so much. Like,
full-time jobs that I could come work with him,
buddy. I've tried for years to get like I've done some things like teaching. Like, I'm just telling you, dude. It is.
He had Malachi and Fletcher. Were they there at the same time? Oh, Fletcher's older,
Dave,
right?
He also had Brian Burns and Surtain on the same team.
Well, I remember that. Like, wow. And then Diabell was with Malachi, right? And
Diabell, yes. But Malachi he reclassed up, and Dia still had another year. Like Dia got hurt, rolled his ankle the game before the playoffs or the first round of the playoffs. And Malachi, I told you, went to quarterback and played and won a state title playing quarterback the last 4 games.
Malachi.
Dude, just even watch it. Like, even in the first quarter, like he was returning a punt. He like slipped and barely hit his ass on the ground and kept his feet and still got 10 out of something where it was like,
yeah. And Fletcher.
Fletcher's a monster.
Yes.
Like, he's huge.
He holds the ball kind of weird. Doesn't it? Like, it's
always been a little like that's always been
weird,
like a little spot of.
But he's just so dynamic.
He's an animal, bro. He's an animal. In high school, like he looked like Derrick Henry. Like he's like Derrick Henry.
Yeah, he kind of is
like that.
Big.
And they use multiple backs.
Dude,
I'm telling you,
those guys were in the same.
When you see those guys, and here's the part.
It's a private school, right?
Private school. It's a St. Thomas Aquinas, right? Like it's that type of gig. It's different in the fact that like their parents have to put in hours. You know what I'm saying? For those kids to go there. So that's why they can't.
Does he get stressed or does he,
Who, Mike?
Yeah.
Oh, it's unbelievable, dude. Like the level of stress that I've seen him age more in being the head coach in the last couple of years than anything in the world.
It's almost like he stays because it's kind of addictive, but
100%. And for so long, he was just the strength guy. And then he kind of transitioned to like the running back guy. But the entire off season for these kids developing, whether they're in the NFL or not, they all come back to Mike.
He trains them speed and stuff like that, right?
Everything, speed, strength, the whole works. Like, and he has
or no, just a speed.
Not so much positional anymore. Like it's not really positional. It's more correct. Yeah. But like his group in the spring, and he has a combine group. Like he does that whole thing. You know what I mean? The combine prep stuff. But part of his contract at Heritage is I can use my personal business training, which is what he built it. I can use the facilities. So everything's done at Heritage. But these guys all just come back and go to Mike. Like all those guys, Burns, like you should. This off-season workout in the spring, Dave, is like, holy shit, how many NFL guys are here? Like from Heritage. Like
right. Unlike other trainers, he doesn't really focus on putting too much video out there. He doesn't even really care about that.
You don't have the fucking time, dude.
Right. I should hire him a guy.
Dude, I like, and look, his wife does a lot of his still photos, right? Like she's the best. She's awesome. But he has a son who's a junior. He's on the team, but he don't really play. Like, he's on it, but he's part of it. But Marcus is not Mike. He's like tall as shit. Cool. Yeah, running back. Like he saw some carries, but Mike's funny with it. He's like, yeah, I guess we'll see if he's good. Like,
right.
Like, who is he? Sony Michel? No. Like, what are we talking about? You know what I mean? Like and look, it's really hard because like that area is fucking stacked beyond. Like,
have you seen the videos on where Mendoza went to high school?
Yep, a block away from 2.8 miles away from Miami, and they didn't give him a scholarship.
Their facilities are unbelievable. Christopher Columbus. It's also a private school.
They just hired a new guy.
That is a powerhouse private school. Also, that's where what the Miami head coach went there also. But yeah, Mendoza's run for a touchdown to win the game, basically
unbelievable. I wish I would have put it in my parlay because I thought it.
He's a drop. He was a drop. He really
Look,
is.
I hit on a great one because I didn't think Miami was going to lose by 7.5. Absolutely not. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I agree.
I've been on the Malachi scoring all the thing because he's just that freak of nature.
That freak.
Where I kind of softened up was like, I think Fletcher's going to get in too. And I also think Mendoza's going to go because it's a national championship and he's going to run for one if it's close to whatever. But I didn't have the nuts to do it. But look, I still, I put in a nice one and got a little something, even though they lost. But I don't do that stuff often. I'm more of like the individual things. I'm like, look, this is a huge game. These two guys know what it's like to be in a huge game. They're going to score a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't do the whole, like, all that other kind of like whatever shit. I'm more of like a football based type of gig. And I'm not good with spreads whatsoever or any of that. Like,
I was shocked at the end of the Carson Beck was moving down the field. I don't know why he bothered. Why bother go for the home run?
Don't know. Just keep going.
I think OCs make. I've seen this in the NFL.
They said that about the Miami OC though. They said the OC gets extremely impatient and he's aware of it. It's why they always go away from the run game and all this other kind of shit. They literally said that on the broadcast last night, dude. He's like, oh, this guy gets impatient with the run game and everybody knows it.
I don't think that was on Carson Beck. I think that was on the play call. Like,
why? Why are you doing that?
And
kudos to the DB in cover 2 sinking underneath it because he had no threat. Like cover 2 1-on-1. Like if there's nothing there threatening, you keep getting depth underneath it. But I mean, shit, he basically threw it to him.
I just
to a point where my wife was even like, "What was that?" And I'm like,
I thought with the momentum they had, they were going to win the game. Actually, I'm like.
I don't know. I was awesome.
I was shocked he went down the field.
Talked to Marion Bell because Jalen won a national championship. Like I said, hey, like good luck tonight. Congrats.
How much is he playing?
Specials. I think he played a bunch of specials, like running around. He's still a young corner, but I mean, it was just awesome to see. I mean, he's obviously at every one of these games. He's been at every fucking playoff game it is, and I'm like, Marion, I guess this, that move in 8th grade was the right move. Like, or how about like. Things didn't work out at LSU and he ends up at Indiana and now he's a national champion. Like you got a son who's a national champion. Like,
right.
It's awesome, dude. But good stuff.
No. All right,
tomorrow morning, we're 10 a.m. We got Haley Colwell, assistant softball coach and recruiting coordinator at Texas. What is it? Texas. It's one of the
I saw it. Texas A&M
Texarkana. Yeah. So it'd be really cool. She's a trip.
All right. Sounds good, man. Great job today.
Talk to you later.